हरि ओम। वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Param Vedanta team welcomes you all to this special session to celebrate Gita Jayanti, which happens to be tomorrow, 3rd December 2022. Before we go into the celebration mode, let me share this with you all. Friends, as all of you are aware, Param Vedanta has been running this online class since early days of pandemic in 2020. It has been a great journey with you all, as much rewarding too. As has been mentioned time and again, these online classes are free and will remain free as Param Vedanta team believes strongly that spiritual knowledge should be imparted free without any fees. However, study of Vedanta cannot be done by mere reading of books. It must be only Guru Mukhena. The real essence, meaning, and interpretation of Vedanta cannot be understood correctly without a Guru who is a Shrotriya Brahmanishta. All these classes that you are attending are a result of grace and learning from our various gurus in general and Swami Paramarthanandaji in particular, whose teachings, interpretations we have been following, and there is nothing of our own. Hence, it becomes incumbent upon all of us to offer Guru Dakshina to our gurus. Param Vedanta has been offering Guru Dakshina to all our gurus twice a year, once during Guru Purnima and again during Gita Jayanti. You have been a part of this offering all through, and we are indeed grateful to you. Now, Gita Jayanti is back again tomorrow, and it's time for us to bring our reverence in action. I am sure you will join in this Guru Seva as always, and I therefore appeal to you kindly offer your generous reverential offerings to these Gurus. Needless to mention that decision to donate an amount is purely voluntary and there is absolutely no compulsion. The entire amount of your offering thus collected will reach the lotus feet of our Gurus. The mode of payment to the account is displayed on the screen. It will also be sent to you in the Telegram group. Those of you who decide to offer may remit your dakshina to that account. Details of Guru Dakshina offered will be shared with you all. Let us now begin our session. It is said, no matter how educated and learned you are, you tend to live your life in darkness till the time you get enlightened with the spiritual, supreme, and divine knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Such a great knowledge, which is the essence of Upanishads and comprising of political, philosophical, psychological, practical, moral, and spiritual values, can never be found elsewhere. We all know that this sacred, all-encompassing teaching was made by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in the midst of warfield. Arjuna is only a symbol, but all of us are the real students. Apart from Maharshi Vedavyasa and Lord Vasudeva, who gave us this dictionary with which deciphers the way to live, we owe our deepest gratitude to Swami Chinmayananda, who was instrumental in taking this Brahma Jnana to common man through his Gita Jnana Yajna. And also to Swami Paramarthanandaji, who has made it very simple for us to understand. Param Vedanta is proud to be a channel to spread this teaching across. No wonder this ultimate knowledge called Bhagavad Gita is celebrated everywhere as Gita Jayanti every year on Margashira Shukla Ekadashi, the day it was born. Let us begin our program with chanting of Bhakti Yoga, That is the 12th chapter by Kumari Anjana. Anjana, please.
Hari Om. Om Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Ata Dvadashodhyayah Bhakti Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhakta Swam Paryupasate ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियाग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरत्पार्था मय्यावेशितचेतसां मय्येव मनाधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवशिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामि चाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्यसि अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्ष शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्भ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्य स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमति भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धदानमत्परमाः भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः हरि ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम्.
Thank you, Anjana, for a flawless and melodious chanting which has set the mood of the program. Lord Krishna has not only devoted one full chapter for bhakti, but has spoken about it many times in other chapters also. That speaks of the importance of bhakti. In fact, bhakti is the undercurrent in karma yoga, upasana yoga, as well as gnana yoga. You cannot do any of these sadhanas without bhakti. Rashtrakavi Dr. G.S. Shivarudrappa has penned this concept of an ultimate bhakti with total surrender. The Bhakta here says what he will do to be near God if he is born as Srigandha, a flower, co-traveler, bee, water, etc. Let's listen to this composition in the voice of Sri Madhusudan. Over to you, Madhu.
Gurubhyo Namaha. ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧನಾಗಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಆಗ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದಾರ್ಚನೆಗೆ ಸವಿಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಗಿಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೂವ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಆಗ ಪಾದ ಪೂಜೆಯ ಸಮಯ ಬಳಿ ಸೇರುತ್ತಿದೆ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧನಾಗಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಜಿಸುವ ದುಂಬಿ ನಾನಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ಪದ ಕಮಲ ಮಕರಂದ ಹೀರುತ್ತಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಜಿಸುವ ದುಂಬಿ ನಾನಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ಪದ ಕಮಲ ಮಕರಂದ ಹೀರುತ್ತಿದೆ ನೀ ನಡೆವ ಮಾರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸೇರಿದರ ನೀ ನಡೆವ ಮಾರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸೇರಿದರ ನಿನ್ನ ಪದ ಧೂಳಿಯಲಿ ಹೊರಳಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧನಾಗಿ ಯಾವೊಂದು ನದಿಯಲಿ ನೀರಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪದ ತೊಳೆಬಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನುದಗುತ್ತೇತೆ ಯಾವೊಂದು ನದಿಯಲಿ ನೀರಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪದ ತೊಳೆಬಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನುದಗುತ್ತೇತೆ ನಿನ್ನ ನಿಜ ಭಕ್ತನೋ ನಾನಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ನಿಜ ಭಕ್ತನೋ ನಾನಾಗಿ ಜನಿಸಿದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪದ ಕಮಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈ ಮರೆಯುತ್ತೀತೆ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧನಾಗಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಆಗ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದಾರ್ಚನೆಗೆ ಸವಿಯುತ್ತೀತೆ ಗಿಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೂವಾಗಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಆಗ ಪಾದ ಪೂಜೆಯ ಸಮಯ ಬಳಿ ಸೇರುತ್ತೀತೆ ಶ್ರೀಗಂಧನಾಗಿ.
Thank you, Madhu, for that beautiful song which defines the pinnacle of bhakti. Continuing in the same mode and mood, let us now listen to Dr. Ravi Shankar sir, who is going to further enlighten us about bhakti in the background of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Bhagavatam. Ravi Shankar sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The dance and bhakti of Gopikas for Sri Krishna is so unique. We move to the next slide where we see this word bhakti becomes a vritti or a thought. And that vritti jnana, when it becomes experiential as a bhava, is when our eyes swell up like the cloud which just can't hold any more water when it is full of droplets and it starts raining. That glorious name of the Lord, the vibhutis, the meaning of bhakti was first seen in the Rig Veda, which causes the release of an internal energy, a nectar, and that has been named as Soma in the Rig Vedas. In the next slide, we see that the one who has this intense, highest para bhakti to the Lord and has the similar bhakti to his Guru, that one person alone is the person who gets all the teachings of the illumined persons. And that is in this verse, Yatha deve para bhaktihi, yatha deve tatha guru, yasyate katitha hartha prakashante mahatmana. A verse in the Guru Gita, also taken from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Bhagavad Shankaracharya says, Bhaktireva moksha sadhana samagram gariyasi. He says, the Vaishishtya of bhakti as a moksha sadhana is the highest. It is gariyasi. It reminds us of what Sri Rajagopalachari would talk about jnana and bhakti, also giving a lot of place to bhakti. Now, bhakti is attachment, participation, fondness, homage, faith, love, devotion, worshipping with purity. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it is a part of the spiritual path, though it is a path of both in Karma Yoga as well as in the Upasana Yoga. We now see the different types of bhakti based on the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. And if the bhakti is based on the different types of the mind state, it could be artha, artharthi, jignasu, or jnani. And based on our ident of the attitude, it could be like a santa or a serene, dasya like a servant, sakhya like a friend, vatsalya of the parents, or madhura of the consort. How should be our bhakti as a Vedanta student? Sri Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijananti. Know me in the truth, complete truth. And what will happen? Vishate tad anantaram. You enter the Supreme. How do we show our bhakti? We move to the next slide, and here we see Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Even simple things like this, given with a clear devotional mind, and the Lord accepts it. What type of a bhakta is loved by Krishna Paramatmana? The next slide shows us na hrishyati, na dveshti, na shochati, na kankshati. All the ones who neither rejoices, nor hates, nor grieves, nor desires, renounces all the good and evil, for that matter doesn't want the praise, the censure, who is silent, content, aniketaha, who has got a sthira buddhi, such a person is very clearly close to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam explains in the next slide, yes, the philosophy of bhakti, and that is referred to in the Narada Bhakti, in the Shandilya Bhakti, in the Bhakti Rasayana or the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this explains the para prema, para anurakti, extreme attachment, or para bhakti. And the 9 forms of bhakti in the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, and ultimately it is total surrender of oneself to the Lord, which is Atma Nivedanam. What does Sri Krishna do to our bhakti? When we have a kind of bhakti, what does Sri Krishna do? He says, Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktya tasya achalam shraddham. He makes that faith completely firm and unflinching to whatever extent is our bhakti. Amongst the 4 types of bhaktas that we know, the one who is wise and steadfast and devoted is the closest to Sri Krishna. Chaturvida bhajate mam janaha. Amongst them, priyo hi jnanino is the word which says the wisest ones who are steadfast and devoted is the closest to Lord Paramatma. We now see that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had a bhava which is known as Mahabhava, the Meera Bhakti, the Shabari Bhakti. Sudama's Bhakti, as soon as he saw Sri Krishna's palace, Sri Krishna's Bhakti to Sudama like a Sakha, Bhakta Prahalada, the animal Gajendra who got moksha because of his bhakti, and the kind of bhakti that once we see when we go to Kailash. For that matter, the Hanuman Bhakti to Sri Rama, they're all examples of various kinds of bhakti. Remember, the Lord, all through the time in bhakti, as we see in the next slide, and what does he do? Yoga kshemya mahavahamyam. He takes care of us, protects us at all times, and that is a promise given by Sri Krishna. The Shivananda Lahari reads, Sarupya tava pujane, worship and you become the Lord. Samipya Shiva Bhakti, you then start becoming close and you start conversing with the Lord. Salokya cha chara achara, you attain the same loka as the Lord is, you live with him. Sayujyamama siddhyamata, become one with him, which means you start thinking of him. And that is the time when you have the Kritartha Bhava of Shiva Bhakti. Sri Guru Bhyo Namah.
What an amazing dissection of bhakti in the light of scriptures, sir. You have shown us the great Mahatmas who have displayed this level of bhakti to attain salvation. Thank you, sir, for an insightful discourse. We have innumerable devotees in our Devabhumi called Bharat who have demonstrated the unadulterated, selfless devotion to God in their lifetimes. Dr. Ravi Shankar sir has shown the pictures of some of them. The bhakti manifested as Sangita in someone like Tyagaraja, mother's love like Shabari, seva like Hanuman, surrender like Vibhishana, wonderful poems like Dasa Sahitya, and many more. During the period between 5th and 10th century AD, 63 Nayanas, who were Shaivites, and 12 Alvars, the Vaishnavites, played a stellar role in promoting Bhakti movement in South India. Kulashekara Alvar, who ruled Kerala for 12 years, relinquished his kingdom and became a Vishnu Bhakta to move to Srirangam and spend rest of his life in the abode of Vishnu. He has composed a garland of verses famously known as Mukunda Mala. Muktim dadati iti mukundaha. The topics covered in this beautiful text are the nature of God, how to develop devotion, qualifications one must have, benefits of devotion, and many more. Swami Brahmanandaji and yesterday's playback singer P.B. Srinivas have sung this in their rich voice. Now, Srimati Shamala will render selected stanzas of this famous text, Mukundamala. Shamala, madam, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Gushyate yasya nagare Rangayatra dine dine Tamaham shirasa vande Rajanam kulashekharam Shri Vallabheti Varadeti Daya Pareti Bhakta Priyeti Bhavalunthana Kovideti Natheti Nagashayaneti Jagannivaseti Alapinam Pratipadam Kuruma Mukunda Jayatu Jayatu Devo Devaki Nandanoyam Jayatu Jayatu Krishna Rushni Vamsha Pradipaha Jayatu Jayatu Megha Shamala Komalango Jayatu Jayatu Prithvi Bharanasho Mukundaha Naham Vande Tava Charanayor Dvandva Madvandva Hetu Kumbhi Pakam Gurumapi Hare Narakam Napanetum Ramya Rama Mrudutanulata Nandanena Pirantum Bhave Bhave Hudaya Bhavane Bhavayeyam Bhavantam Nastha Dharme Navasunichaye Naiva Kamopabhoge Yad Yad Bhavyam Bhavatu Bhagavan Purva Karmanurupam Ye tat prathyam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi Tvat padam bhoruhayugagata nischala bhaktirastu He Gopalaka He Krupajala Nidhe He Sindhu Kanyapate He Kamsantaka He Gajendra Karuna Parina He Madhava He Ramanuja He Jagat Prayaguru He Pundari Kakshama He Gopi Jananatha Palaya Param Janami Natvam Vina Shatruchedayika mantram sakalam Upanishad Vakya Sampujya mantram Samsarottara mantram Samupatitatam Sangha Niryada mantram सर्वैश्वर्यैकमन्त्रं व्यसनभुजगसन्दष्टसन्त्राणमन्त्रम् जिह्वे श्रीकृष्णमन्त्रं जप जप सततं जन्म साफल्यमन्त्रम् नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजम् करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायणनाम निर्मलम् स्मरामि नारायणतत्त्वमव्ययम् श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्रीकृष्ण भक्त प्रिय चक्रपाणे श्रीपद्मनाभाच्युत कैटभारे श्रीराम पद्माक्ष हरे मुरारे अनंत वैकुंठ मुकुंद कृष्णा गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति वक्तुं समर्थोऽपि न वक्ति कश्चित् अहो जनानां व्यसनाभिमुख्यम् क्षीरसागर तरंग श्रीकरा सारतारकित चारुमूर्तये भोगि भोग शयनीय शायिने माधवाय मधुविद्विषे नमः यस्य प्रियौ श्रुतिधरौ कविलोकवीरौ मित्रे द्विजन्म वरपद्मशरावभूता तेनाम्बुजाक्ष चरणाम्बुज षट्पदेना राज्ञा कृता कृतिरियं कुलशेखरेण राज्ञा कृता कृतिरियं कुलशेखरेण.
Thank you, Shamla Madam, for a wonderful rendition. Now the question is it enough if you have bhakti? Does Mukunda give us mukti if we have bhakti alone? No, says Shastras. Bhakti is the prerequisite and an undercurrent all through our spiritual path. It is the jnana which ultimately fetches us liberation. Again, only jnana is not enough. You have to become jnana-nishtha, committed to what that jnana. Who else can explain it to us more clearly than Dr. Hegde sir? Come on, friends, let's embark on a trip from jnana to jnana-nishtha with sir. Sir, please.
Thank you, Venkatesh. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Dear friends, as part of the Gita Jayanti celebration of this year, many of us have been students of the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, Vedanta for many years. We can call ourselves senior students of Vedanta. Is there any indicator, any parameter to say whether there is any degree of evolution? Let me give the highest indicator possible that Sri Krishna has given in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in response to Arjuna's question. And the brilliant answer by Sri Krishna is, have you attained to Atmanevatmana Tushtaha? Have you attained to that state of Purnatvam? And whenever a person attains to that state, what happens? Prajahati, one gives up Sarvan Kaman Manogathan. All the desires that come in the mind are dropped. Why? Because a person now knows he's Purnamada Purnamidam. I am complete by myself. And therefore, desires may be there. but there is no desires for Purnatvam. A person is complete by oneself. What is the problem for all of us? The problem is, I have Jnanam, but Jnana Nishta seems to be distant. Vedanta appears meaningful. I understand the nuances of Vedanta. I still have emotional issues. There are anxiety. I do become anxious. Where is the block? If I can discover the block, then that itself will help me to address where are the blocks between Jnana and Jnana Nishta. The Upanishads, particularly the Katha Upanishad, speaks of what is called the Hridaya Granthi, where is a triad of avidya, kama, karma. Avidya means, although I am already that, I am not able to experience my true nature because the avarana shakti of Maya prevents me from knowing my true nature. If you will see the picture of Sri Dakshinamurti, an alert student of Vedanta is always aware that at every moment of your life, you can forget your true nature and identify with the body, mind, and become extremely a limited person. The moment I experience limitation, then a thought arises in my mind. If I accomplish this, then I will be happy. And that is called karma. Karma forces me to do karma. So whenever we do karma, I will generate punya or papa, which becomes a vicious cycle once again. Any karma can have a result which is pleasant or unpleasant. Based on the outcome of my actions, there will be raga and dvesha. That means certain amount of activities I would like to repeat because I like them. Certain activities I would like to avoid because I don't like the outcome. And all these produce a certain impression in the mind, and these impressions are called vasanas. Ultimately, the vasanas can become so strong, we become driven by these vasanas. Recently, in the retreat at Rishikesh, Swami Anubhavananda was speaking about 3 important blocks that a person might have according to the school of yoga, because these are from the lower 3 chakras. That is Manipura, Swadhisthana, and Mooladhara chakra. A spiritually evolved person will go only when he goes beyond the heart center or the Anahata chakra. Now, what are the 3 centers which block us? The first is the Mooladhara, which is controlled by a very strong sexual drive. The second is Swadhisthana, which is insecurity. And because of insecurity, I feel that if I have a lot of money, I will be secure. And there is a very strong drive to acquire money, right or wrong means. The third is the Manipura, the need to control others and to dominate. And as long as a person is driven by these 3 chakras, a person is not able to evolve spiritually. Now, the moment we realize this itself is an opening. But if I'm not able to work on it myself, Lord Shiva has a very powerful weapon. Lord Shiva can burn karma through the opening of the 3rd eye. And so one method is to appeal to Lord Shiva to help us to evolve by the opening of the 3rd eye. Because I do not know my true nature, or because of my forgetfulness, there is this body-mind identification. To some extent, I may be able to overcome body, but my mind identification becomes so strong, and therefore there is this ego. There is this nice story from the life of Lord Sri Krishna when Rukmini asks the Lord, what is there in the flute that I do not have? And Sri Krishna replies, the flute is so empty. Whenever we are empty of the ego, the sense of who I am, the Lord speaks through you, the Lord expresses through you. And let the story help us whenever there is ego. And how do I know there is the ego? Hurt and upset, whether justified or not, is always self-damaging. Whenever I feel upset, whenever I feel hurt, remember it is the function of the ego. And therefore, what are the sadhanas that can help us to overcome? Now, there are certain qualifications which I have bypassed because I have not gone through Veda Purva. The Veda Purva helps me to develop Viveka, Vairagya, and Mumukshutvam. And this is possible through continued Karma Yoga. So every action that I do in everyday life, can it be Ishwararpana Bhava? Can it be Prasada Bhava? Can I do Pancha Maha Yajna? And therefore, my everyday sadhana is to be able to acquire more amount of Viveka, Vairagya, and Mokshutvam. The more I spend in Upasana through forms of meditation, I develop a certain mastery over the mind, and that is called Shama Adi Shakta Sampatti. Finally, I have got Jnanam. From Jnanam to Jnana Nishta is the stirring of the spiritual wisdom that it comes into every cell of my being. And in Yoga Vasishta, there is a beautiful saying, Tat Chintanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyon Tat Prabodhanam, Eka Deka Paratvam Cha Brahmabhyasa Vidur Buddhaha. That means look for every opportunity in life to be able to bring in our teachings, through teaching somebody, to reading your own notes, with whatever method. So now from Shravanam, we move to Nididhyasana. Let me ask you one very specific question. When does Shravanam, or what is the important difference between Shravanam and Nididhyasana? Now, if we have been doing Nididhyasanam correctly, we will be able to make a certain shift from the teachings of Shravanam to the practice of Nididhyasana. In Shravanam, I know is Brahman is Satyam, Brahman is Jnanam, Brahman is Ananta, Brahman is Akarta, Abhokta, Brahman is Asanga, and so on. But what happens in Nididhyasanam? In Nididhyasanam, the shift is I am Satyam, I am Jnanam, I am Anantam, I am Akarta, I am Abhokta, I am Asangaha. So if that shift comes, then we come into Nididhyasana. Let me tell you a certain very useful sadhana that comes in a wonderful TED talk by David Rust, who asks this question, how we can be grateful living. Are happy people grateful, or grateful people happy? And he says that whenever you are grateful, you are happy. And what is the sadhana that helps you to be grateful? He says, stop, look, go. Stop means consciously slow down. We rush through life. Can we slow down most of our activities so that we become more aware? In more awareness, whatever I do, I will do it 100%. Swami Anubhavananda gives us a certain happy mantra. And this is some of the index to see if I have been spiritually evolved. Wherever, whenever, whatever you are, can we be 100%? When there is something to do, give it all that you have. When there is nothing to do nothing. Remember, there is nothing to gain, there is nothing to lose. Dekho, suno, mat bolo. Whatever you have to do, take your role sincerely, but not seriously. And he uses that term, kar natak. Play your role like an actor on the stage. Don't try to make anyone happy. Life is a time pass. Remember this happiness mantra. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. The way to be happy is to just be happy and to create a heaven right here. Ultimately, when do I know that Jnanam has become Jnana Nishta? Remember this beautiful mantra, Vidyate Hridaya Granthi. Chindanti Sarva Samshaya, Kshiyante Chasya Karmani, Tasmin Drishte Paravare. That avidya kama karma, that granthi is broken. And all my doubts disappear. All my karma is gone. Tasmin drishte paravare. I get to see my higher nature. I get to see that I am Atma Brahma. And that is what is called the transcendental is now open to me. And I also see it is immanent, it is close, it is me. And this is that beautiful experience when you experience Purnatvam. Finally, remember the FIR. the frequency of my upsets come down, the intensity moves from bodily to verbal to mental, and now I'm able to recover much faster. Even then, we still continue to get upset. Is there a formula to work from stimulus to response? Delay whenever my upset, delay your response. Keep a certain distance. If I've been provoked, move away from that situation. Drink some water. Practice deep breathing. Ultimately, Swamiji has said, whenever some unpleasant news comes, the first reaction is what? But silently, what I'm telling myself, so what? My dear friends, let us keep a benchmark for Gita Jayanti next year. By next year, let me work towards Jnana Nishta. And how do we do that? Let us be in Satsanga. We remember that Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischala Tattvam, Nischala Tattve Jivan Mukti. In the next few months, we will be completing the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse, the 18th chapter. Our Disha classes will come to an end. The Mundaka Upanishads will come to an end. But these classes will continue, whether I am there or not there. Param Vedanta has now a committed group of people who are willing to bring Swamiji's teachings. What do we bring in future? We will bring in the other Upanishads verse by verse, like Kathopanishad, the Gita, 108 selected verses with Shankara Bhashyam. These are all the programs and offering, so that we are in Nidityasanam and we help each other to move from Jnanam to Jnana Nishta. With profound gratefulness to our Gurus, whatever, this is an opportunity at this time of the year to make a humble gratefulness, as already mentioned by Venkatesh Prasad. Whatever we contribute, whatever contributions we get will be offered to our Gurus. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Amazing. Knowing is one thing and being is another, and more important one. That reminds me of Viveka Chudamani, where Shankara devotes a chapter to emphasize Nishtha, that is Brahmanishta. Anchored in Brahman, being Brahman, Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani. Feel, believe, and proclaim that you are Brahman. Thank you, sir, for giving us such a clarity on this special topic, as you do always. Bhagavad Gita is one text which is the essence of all Upanishads, as Madhusudana Saraswati says in Dhyana Shloka, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandana Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamrutam Mahat. This is one-stop destination for Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and the values. We can never find such a single document encompassing all the above topics. Mr. Ravi, who is a part of Param Vedanta, has paid a tribute to this Bhagavad Gita with his composition Namami Geetam Sudhambudhim, which will be rendered by Srimati Radha Ravi. He has specially composed this for our Gita Jayanti program. Radha, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Narayanaamsha Sambhutam Rukmini Rupyam Tarangastitam Nigama Nigamantasvarupam Nikhila Bhuvanaikammo Nirmalam Nishachara Kulantakam Chakradharam Shri Krishnam Namanyaham Shri Krishna Krishna Deva Prabodhitam Shakti Putrena Virachitam शतसहस्रश्लोकमध्यमम् अष्टादशध्यायिनीं सकलवेदान्तसारं सर्वजनहितकरम् कृष्णदेव प्रबोधितां शक्तिपौत्रेण विरचितं शतसहस्रश्लोकमध्यमम् अष्टादशध्यायिनीं सकलवेदान्तसारं सर्वजनहितकरम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् स्वजनप्रियं पार्थम् स्वजनप्रियं पार्थं कर्म त्यागकाङ्क्षितं सर्वमयं कृष्णं भक्तहृदयपालितम् स्वजनप्रियं पार्थं कर्म त्यागकाङ्क्षितं सर्वमयं कृष्णं भक्तहृदयपालितम् आत्मतत्त्वबोधितं सर्वभूतसमदर्शनभावम् आत्मतत्त्वबोधितं सर्वभूतसमदर्शनभावम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् कामक्रोधखण्डितम् कामक्रोधखण्डितं ध्यानमार्गबोधितं विश्वरूपदर्शितं धर्मशास्त्रव्यापितम् कामक्रोधखण्डितं ध्यानमार्गबोधितं विश्वरूपदर्शितं धर्मशास्त्रव्यापितं शुद्धमनः प्रसादितं कदनरङ्गविकसितम् शुद्धमनः प्रसादितं कदनरङ्गविकसितम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् न द्वैतं न साङ्ख्यं न न्यायं न शून्यम् न द्वैतं न साङ्ख्यं न न्यायं न शून्यं सर्वत्र समदर्शनं गीतम् विश्वान्तराळनाथम् अद्वैतदिव्यधारम् शङ्करेण विस्तृतम् श्रीकृष्णकृपाम्बुधिम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् नमामि गीता सुधाम्बुधिम् हरि ओम थैंक यू
Thank you, Radha, for a melodious singing of Gita Stuti. Thank you, Ravi, for giving us such a great composition depicting the glory of Bhagavad Gita. Friends, we have sufficiently dealt with Bhakti and Jnana. We have been studying, revising Gita for the past 2 years and more. Now, it's time to assess ourselves how much we know about this Bhagavad Gita. Dr. Sundar has prepared a teaching quiz which will help us cement our understanding of this text. Dr. Sachin will assist us in answering the questions posed by Dr. Sundar. Over to you, Dr. Sundar.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. On what day was the Gita narrated to Arjuna as per the Hindu calendar? For each question, we'll have 1 or 2 seconds for you to think of an answer before we move on to the answer.
It's Shukla Ekadashi, and I think it is Marga Shirsha Mahina. month of Hindu calendar.
Yeah, it is this day of Gita Jayanti itself. We move to the next question. In the Dhyana shlokas, to what does Madhusudana Saraswati compare Vyasacharya's eyes to?
Fully blossomed lotus petal.
Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra. That is the comparison. We move on to the next question. How does Krishna bring to the fore Arjuna's hidden problem of samsara?
I think he brings Arjuna's chariot to in between Bhishma and Drona, and thus letting Raga, Shoka, Moha, the triad of samsara, build in Arjuna.
Go on to the answer. So we see in this key 25th verse that Lord Krishna brings in, or he brings to the fore this problem of samsara by bringing Arjuna right in front of his dear and near ones, Bhishma and Drona. Next question, sir. Why does Krishna not impart the self-knowledge to Arjuna in the first chapter, although his close friend is in such a distress?
Because Arjuna has not yet surrendered in the first chapter.
Yes. So this is a message for us also, that unless we are emotionally exhausted and we surrender, as is there in the last pada of this shloka, Sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. Question 5. Very important question, the beginning of Krishna's teaching. What do the wise men not grieve for?
Wise men don't grieve for the living nor the dead.
Yes, as we see in this answer, Gatasun Gatasuncha Nanu Sochanti Pandita. Next question, sir. Tricky question. What does Buddhi Yoga refer to in this verse?
The Karma Yoga?
Yes. As we see in the answer slide, this is a transition verse. So in the second chapter, we have the chapter beginning with Jnana Yoga, then Karma Yoga in between, and Jnana Yoga once again as the Sthita Prajna portion. So the Buddhi Yoga Tvimam Shrunu. So I have done with teaching of the Jnana Yoga. Now listen to Buddhi Yoga. Why is Karma Yoga being referred to as Buddhi Yoga? Because the difference between karma and Karma Yoga is karma is mere action, whereas Karma Yoga is with a particular attitude which is born from Buddhi. Therefore, in this verse, it is referred to as Buddhi Yoga. While you will see in other places, it might refer to Jnana Yoga. So it's a tricky question. Next question, sir. This is very important. What are the two definitions of Karma Yoga?
Karma Yoga is equanimity, and also it is skill in actions.
Yes. So these key, as we see in the answer slide, key verses in the second chapter, the 48th verse and the 50th verse define the definition of Karma Yoga. First definition is Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Karma Yoga is Samatvam or equanimity. Second definition is Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. Karma Yoga is skill in action. Next question, sir. What is Arjuna's confusion in the beginning of the third chapter?
So after Karma Yoga is understood in second, Jnana Yoga, his question is, if Jnanam is supreme, then why Krishna is asking him to do the Ghora Karma?
Yes. So as we see in the answer slide, the question, this kind of a confusion is because Arjuna is inclined not to fight because he finds this war unpleasant. In the second chapter, it begins with Jnana Yoga, ends with Jnana Yoga. In between, there are few words on Karma Yoga. Yet, towards the end, the instruction to Arjuna is take to karma. That's why he's asking this question. Next question, sir. How many types of lifestyles were prescribed at the beginning of creation?
2. It is pravritti and nivritti.
Yeah. So this famous verse in the third chapter, Lokesmin vividhanishta pura proktha mayanaga. Next question, sir. To whom was the very same teaching of Bhagavad Gita revealed by Lord Vishnu at the beginning of creation as the Vedas?
Surya Bhagwan. Vivaswan.
Yeah. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam. Next question, sir. In this profound verse 4.24, what all are verily Brahman? Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahma eva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina.
Everything is Brahman. The ladle, the offering, the fire, the one who offers, the culmination of the offerings, and the seer, all are Brahman.
Yes. So this is a key verse reaching the heights of the Upanishads teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. Verily all is Brahman alone. Next question, sir. What is Arjuna's confusion at the beginning of the 5th chapter?
Here he was confused whether sannyasa ashrama is better or grihastha ashrama.
Yes. So that was the confusion. Next question, sir. Yeah, this is important. These two verses describe 13 actions that Krishna does. So Krishna is starting off with Pashan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, 13 activities that Krishna says he does. Yet he says, Aham na eva kinchit karomi. I do not do anything. What are we to understand with this?
The theme of this chapter, Jnana Karma Sannyasa, inaction in action. This is what is meant.
Yes. So this is not just the theme of this chapter, but the theme of Gita and entire Advaita Vedanta itself, that while I might be in the thick of activity, I distinctly identify my true nature with Atman, and therefore I am a karta. So while my body-mind complex is in the thick of activity, I as Atma am actionless. Next question, sir. In this popular verse, Atma is a reference to Sachidananda Atma, true or false?
False. It is reference to the reflective pronoun, that is body-mind complex.
Yes, sir. So it is a reference to body-mind complex. Next question, sir. Next question, sir. What is the incredible promise Krishna makes in this key verse of the 7th chapter?
He says he will bring oneself to face to God.
Yes. So this is a turning point again from the Prathama Shatakam to Madhyama Shatakam, where the subject matter is going to change from the Jiva to Ishvara. And Krishna's promise is, I shall make you aware everything about God. Next question, sir. What are the 4 types of bhaktas?
It is Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Jnani Bhaktas.
Yes. key 16th verse of the 7th chapter. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. Next question, sir. What is the answer for Arjuna's question? Adibhutam chakim?
Adibhutam is the perishable universe, apara prakriti.
Yes. So there are several terms in this 8th chapter. So Adibhutam is the perishable universe. Next question, sir. Mathematical question, answer given in the verses of Gita. How does a day of Brahmaji compare with our time?
I'm very weak in mathematics. I don't know.
So the answer is calculated as Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. Sahasra Chatur Yugas are to be calculated here. So one Chatur Yuga, the calculation is Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. And then mathematically, the other yugas, other 3 are twice, thrice, and 4 times. So therefore, one Chatur Yuga is 10 times Kali Yuga. And then Sahasra Chatur Yuga is a day, and another Sahasra is the night. And so it works out to such an astronomical large amount of time compared to our day. Next question. Why is the teaching of Gita referred to as Rajaguhyam, the greatest secret?
Because it is very rare and not easily available for normal people. And even though when it is available, people actually don't seek it. Because Chitta Shuddhi is required for, doing the spiritual sadhanas.
Yes. So the second one answer is the reason that Chitta Shuddhi is difficult to get. Therefore, it's a rare knowledge. Next question, sir. What is the great promise Krishna makes in this verse, in the 10th chapter?
All the Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhaktas will undoubtedly be blessed with the Arupa Ishvara Jnanam.
Yes. So as we see in this answer slide, Sah avikampena yogena yujyate. So Krishna is telling, I shall bless them with an unshakable, unflinching knowledge of Arupa Ishvara. The condition being the first and second pada of the shloka. Etam vibhutim yogam cha. Whoever is very clear about vibhuti and yoga, which is the Vishwarupa Ishvara, will be blessed with Arupa Ishvara. Next question. To what type of an I does Krishna make a reference to in this verse?
About the divine eye.
So Divya Chakshuhu is not a sensory organ like the anatomical eye, but this is the eye of wisdom, which has the ability to add an extraordinary perspective to ordinary perception. Next question, sir. What is Arjuna's question at the beginning of the 12th chapter? Tesam ke yoga vittamaha.
It is actually not a right question, but he asks which one is superior, whether Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta is superior or Arupa Ishvara.
So this chapter divides bhaktas into 5 levels, and the question is whether level 5 is better or level 4 is better. Next question, sir. The Purusha is immanent in Prakriti, yet is transcendent. To teach us this, what are the 2 examples given in these verses in the 13th chapter?
It is about space and light.
Yes. For us, the difficult thing to understand is when you say immanent, it is inseparably intimate. And then you say it is transcended because it is unaffected. So with 2 examples for us, in these verses, it is explained how a particular entity can be immanent and transcendent at the same time. Next question, sir. What is the indicator when sattva guna is predominant in this 14th chapter verse?
When the knowledge is culminated and it shines in all of the sense organs of one person.
Yes. Next question, sir. The sun does not illuminate it, nor the moon or fire. What is it?
The original consciousness, Brahman.
Yes. As we see in this answer slide, the light of consciousness, Brahman, Atman. All that is come to awareness, the sun, the fire, because of Brahman, not the other way around. Next question, sir. Krishna says a person born with sattva guna has, what is the meaning of swadhyaya?
It simply means our studies, scriptural studies.
Yes. Next question, sir.
Verbal austerity. Verbal austerity is satyam, priyam, hitam. It's given in the this.
Yeah. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyam hitam.
Hitam.
Next, last question, sir. What is Arjuna's question at the beginning of the 18th chapter?
What is sannyasa and what is tyaga?
Yeah. That concludes the quiz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar sir and Dr. Sachin sir, for a lovely quiz covering all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So well crafted. Hope you all enjoyed the quiz. Thank you, sir. It is customary to conclude Gita Jayanti with Gita Arati. Dr. Diksha Naik will render this Arati song for us. Dr. Diksha.
हरि ओम जय भगवद गीते जय जय भगवद गीते हरि कमल विहारिणि हरि कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते जय जय भगवद गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामासक्ति हरा कामासक्ति हरा तत्वज्ञान विकाशिनी विद्या ब्रह्म परा जय जय भगवद गीते निश्चल भक्ति विधायिनी निर्मल मलहारी निर्मल मलहारी शरण सहस्य प्रदायिनी शरण सहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी जय जय भगवद गीते राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणी मोद सदा कारिणी मोद सदा भव भयहारिणी तारिणी भव भयहारिणी तारिणी परमानंद प्रदा जय जय भगवद गीते आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तमरजनी नाशिनी तमरजनी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी दैवी सिखावनी हरि मुख की बानी, हरि मुख की बानी। सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी, सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी, श्रुतियों की रानी। जय जय भगवद गीते, दया सुधा बरसावनी, मातु कृप की जय, मातु कृपा की जय। हरिपद प्रेम दान कर, हरिपद प्रेम दान कर, अपनो कर लीजय। जय जय भगवद गीते, जय भगवद गीते, जय जय भगवद गीते। हरि ही कमल विहारिणी, हरि ही कमल विहारिणी, सुंदर सुपुनीते। जय जय भगवद गीते। हरि ओम।
Thank you, Diksha, for a devotional Mangala to Gita Jayanti. I must thank all speakers, quizmaster, singers, and composer for making this program a grand celebration. Dr. Timmappa Hegde, sir, is a pivot around which the entire Param Vedanta revolves. His Sankalpa Matrena, everything happens so effortlessly. He has been guiding us through the spiritual path from the front. He is our friend, guide, philosopher, and guru. On behalf of all the members of Param Vedanta Parivar, I offer my pranams to him. I should not forget the invaluable service of our team members who are silently serving at the back end to bring these classes to you every Monday and Friday regularly on time. Dr. Sundar allocates topics and prepare calendar of events. Shamala allocates verses to youngsters to chant and train those kids to chant clearly. Madhu and Gullas take care of online services, recording, editing, and uploading them to YouTube. Mamata takes care of websites and all technical assistance. Dr. Netra and Vishwanath and Vasumati do the correcting, fine-tuning, and assembling the slides of each speaker. Dr. Satyanarayana and Avinash prepare the daily questions in Telegram, which has crossed 600 mark. Dr. Sachin keeps an eye on the time. He also conducts Balavihar for kids who chant the Gita verses in our classes. Dr. Komal, Dr. Divakar draft the description of each episode to post in the groups and in YouTube. Shivkumar and Prasanna maintain our accounts along with organizing and conducting our yatras. Dr. Rupa helps us in getting us venues for our retreats and lectures. Neeta manages WhatsApp and Telegram groups and ensure all messages and notifications reach every seeker. Dr. Vasumati, Dr. Ahalya, Neeta, and Shivkumar form the panel of anchors and ensure smooth conducting of each episode. All our speakers spend hours and hours to prepare before their presentation. Finally, our family members who set us free to do what we are doing. Hats off to all these silent volunteers who are primarily responsible to keep our show going on. Sorry if I have missed anyone, but genuinely, we are grateful to all those who have directly and indirectly contributed to run this show. Finally, all this is done to reach you only. You are the purpose and destination of this show. Without you all, our efforts will be meaningless. You have been supporting us with active participation and inspiring us to do better. Big thanks to you all. Let us log in for our next Disha session 38 on Monday, 5th December 2022 to continue our study of 8th chapter with verses 23 to 28. We will also study Avasthatraya. That brings us to the end of today's program. Thank you all. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.